bus stop on Maple Street has no name. That's what the dispatcher told me when I called the transit authority. There's no stop on Maple, she said. Not for Route 17, not for any route. I told her I was standing at the stop right now. I could see the sign, I could see the shelter, I could see the schedule. She told me I was mistaken, then she hung up. That was 3 weeks ago. I've been standing at that stop every night since. Not because I want to, because I can't leave. My name is Derek. I'm a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. My shift ends at 1 a.m. For 6 years, I've taken the bus home from the stop on 5th and Oak. It's a good stop, well lit, a bench that doesn't wobble, a digital sign that actually works. On a normal night, I wait 10 minutes. The bus comes, I get home by 1:30. But on the night of October 17th, everything changed. I was walking to the 5th and Oak stop when I saw a man standing on the corner of Maple. He was wearing a long coat, dark gray, and he was facing the street, not looking at anything, just facing it. I almost walked past him, but something made me stop. Something about the way he stood, too still, like a mannequin. "Hey," I called out, "you okay?" He didn't turn around, he didn't move. I walked closer. "Sir, are you lost?" He turned his head, not his body, just his head. It rotated 180 degrees like an owl. His face was blank. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth, pale skin stretched over a skull. I stumbled backward. My heel caught the curb. I fell into the street. A car swerved around me, horn blaring. By the time I got up, the man was gone. The corner was empty. I ran to the bus stop on 5th and Oak. I didn't look back. I got on the bus. I sat near the driver. I didn't sleep that night. The next night, I avoided Maple. I took a different route. I walked an extra block to avoid that corner. I told myself I'd imagined it. I told myself I was tired. I told myself it was a prank, a costume, someone messing with me. Then I saw the faceless man again. This time, he was sitting on the bench at the 5th and Oak stop. He was facing me. His blank face was turned toward me like he was watching. I stopped walking. I stood on the sidewalk for a full minute. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He didn't have eyes to blink. I walked past him. I didn't sit on the bench. I stood at the curb and faced the street. I could feel him behind me. I could feel the cold radiating off him. The bus came. I got on. I didn't look back. The next night, I tried a different stop, 3 blocks north. No one was there. I waited. The bus came. I got on. I thought I was safe. He was sitting in the back row. I didn't get off. I stayed on the bus. I sat near the front. He sat in the back. We rode in silence. At my stop, I got off. He stayed on the bus. The doors closed. I watched the bus drive away. His blank face was pressed against the rear window. He was watching me leave. That was when I started looking up the bus stops. I wanted to know if there was a stop on Maple. I wanted to prove I wasn't crazy. I opened the transit app. I searched Maple Street. Nothing. I searched every route. Nothing. I searched the map. Maple Street was there, but no bus stop. I called the transit authority. They said the same thing. No stop on Maple. They said Route 17 didn't go anywhere near Maple. They said the nearest stop was 3 blocks away. I hung up. I felt sick, but I knew what I saw. I knew the sign. I knew the shelter. I knew the schedule. And I knew the faceless man. He was real. He had to be real. The next night, I went to Maple. I wanted to prove it to myself. The stop was there. The sign was there. The shelter was there. The schedule said the next bus was at 2:07 a.m. I sat on the bench. I waited. At 2:07, the bus came. It wasn't a normal bus. It was older, with rusted metal and dark windows. The front sign said Route 17 in flickering letters. The doors hissed open. The driver was a woman with dead eyes and a name tag that said, "Marlene." "Get on," she said. I didn't move. "You're on the schedule," she said. "You're supposed to be on this bus." "No," I said. "I'm not." The faceless man appeared behind her. He was standing in the aisle just behind the driver's seat. His blank face was tilted toward me. "Get on," the driver repeated. I stood up. I backed away from the bus. The doors hissed closed. The bus pulled away. I watched it disappear around the corner. I stood there for a long time. I don't know how long. The street was empty. The shelter was empty. The bench was cold. Then I saw the note. It was taped to the schedule. A piece of yellow paper with black writing. The writing was neat, precise, like a typewriter. "You can't run from the route. The route always finds you." I tore the note off and threw it in the trash. I went home. I locked every lock. The next night, I took a bus from the opposite side of town. I transferred twice. I thought I was safe. I thought I'd lost him. He was waiting for me at my front door, standing on my porch. Blank face turned toward my window. I ran inside. I locked the door. I checked every window. He was still there. He didn't move. He just stood on my porch, facing my door, waiting. I called the police. They came. They searched the area. They found no one. They told me to stop wasting their time. They told me I was probably just stressed from work. I was stressed, but I wasn't imagining anything. The next night, he was in my bedroom, standing at the foot of my bed. His blank face tilted down toward me. I screamed. I ran. I didn't stop running until I reached the bus stop on Maple. The bus was waiting. The doors were open. The driver, Marlene, the dead-eyed woman, was staring at me. The faceless man was in the back row. His blank face turned toward the window. "Get on," the driver said. "What do you want?" I screamed. "Why are you doing this?" The faceless man stood up. He walked to the front of the bus. He stopped at the doors. His blank face was inches from mine. "You missed your stop," he said. His voice was hollow, echoing, like a voice from the bottom of a well. "You missed your stop 6 years ago. You've been running ever since, but you can't run forever." "I don't understand," I said. "You were supposed to die on Route 17, he said. "October 17th, 6 years ago. You were supposed to be on the bus that crashed. But you weren't. You took a different bus. You survived. That wasn't supposed to happen. I was sick that night," I said. "I remembered it. I had a fever. I stayed home. I didn't take the bus. The route was supposed to take you," he said, "but you refused. So now I have to take you myself." He reached out his hand. His fingers were too long, too thin. They wrapped around my wrist. His grip was cold. Not cold like ice. Cold like the absence of warmth. Like touching a shadow. "You can fight," he said. "You can run. You can hide. But the route always finds you. The route always takes what it's owed." I pulled my hand free. I ran down the street, away from the stop, away from the bus, away from him. I've been running for 3 weeks now. I've changed apartments. I've changed jobs. I've changed cities. But every night at exactly 2:07 a.m., I see the bus. Every night he's waiting for me. I'm writing this from a motel room in a town I've never been to. The lights are on. The door is locked. The curtains are drawn. I can hear the bus outside. I can hear the doors hissing open. He knows I'm in here. I don't think I can run anymore. I don't think anywhere is far enough. The route always finds you. It always takes what it's owed. If you're reading this, don't take the bus. Any bus. Not at night. Not alone. The route doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. It just waits. And it's always patient. I got off work at 11:47 p.m. The restaurant closed early because of the snow. I checked my phone. The last bus was at 12:23 a.m. I had 36 minutes to walk 6 blocks to the stop on Meridian and 8th. The snow was falling hard. Not the pretty kind. The wet, heavy kind that soaks through your jacket and makes your shoes squeak. The streets were empty. No cars, no other pedestrians. Just me and the orange glow of the old streetlights. I turned the corner onto Meridian. The bus stop was ahead. A single metal pole with a plastic shelter. No bench, no digital sign. Just a faded schedule behind scratched plexiglass. The kind of stop you avoid if you have any other option. I didn't have any other option. I walked into the shelter. The roof kept the snow off, but the wind still cut through. I pulled my hood up and leaned against the back wall. The schedule said the 12:23 bus was Route 17. It would take me to the transfer center. From there, I could catch the 12:47 to my apartment. I checked my phone. 12:08 a.m. 15 minutes. That's when I noticed the footsteps. Not coming toward me, coming from inside the shelter. Behind me, I turned around. The shelter was empty. Just the scratched plexiglass and the steel wall. But I had heard footsteps. Soft, deliberate. The sound of shoes on concrete. I stepped out of the shelter and looked around. The street was empty. The snow had covered my footprints already. No one was there. I got back under the roof. I told myself it was the wind, or the snow hitting the metal, or my imagination. Then I heard breathing. Not mine. Someone else's. Close. Right next to my ear. I spun around. Nothing. But the plexiglass had changed. The scratches were gone. Instead, there was a face. Not a reflection. A face inside the glass. A woman. Pale skin. Dark hair. Eyes that were completely black. No white. No iris. Just black. She was staring at me. I stumbled backward out of the shelter. My back hit a lamppost. I didn't take my eyes off the glass. The woman's face moved. Her mouth opened. She said something, but no sound came out. Her lips formed words I couldn't read. Then she raised her hand and pressed it against the inside of the glass. Her fingers were too long, too thin. They bent at angles that weren't natural. I ran. I didn't care about the bus. I didn't care about my apartment. I just ran. My boots slipped on the snow. I fell once, got up, kept running. I didn't look back. I ran until I reached the 24-hour diner on 3rd Street. I burst through the door. The waitress looked at me like I was crazy. I ordered coffee. I sat in a booth and shook for 20 minutes. At 1 a.m., I called a rideshare. It cost me $42. I paid it. I got home. I locked every lock. I checked every window. I didn't sleep. The next day, I went back to the bus stop. In daylight, the shelter was normal. The plexiglass was scratched and dirty. No face, no handprints. Just an ugly, forgotten bus stop. I asked the cashier at the corner store if anyone had ever reported strange things at that stop. He laughed. "People don't report things around here," he said. "They just stop using the stop." I asked him why. He leaned on the counter. "About 10 years ago, a woman disappeared from that shelter. Her name was Elena. She was waiting for the last bus, same as you. The bus driver said she wasn't there when he arrived, but her phone was on the ground. Her purse was on the ground. Her shoes were on the ground. She was gone. What happened to her?
He shrugged. No one knows. Police searched for a week. Nothing. After that, people started seeing things at that stop at night. Shadows, faces in the glass, breathing. Most people just walk the extra 6 blocks to the other stop now. I thanked him and left. I didn't take the bus from Meridian and 8th again. I walked the extra 6 blocks, every night, even in the snow, even in the rain, even when my feet blistered. But last week, I made a mistake. I was late leaving work. The restaurant closed at midnight. I checked my phone. The last bus from the other stop was at 12:31. I had 15 minutes to walk 8 blocks. I couldn't make it, so I went to Meridian and 8th. It was cold. No snow this time. Just dry, bitter cold that burned my lungs. The shelter looked the same. Faded schedule. Scratched glass. No bench. I stood at the edge of the curb. I did not go under the roof. I faced the street. I did not look at the plexiglass. The bus was supposed to come at 12:23. I watched the time on my phone. 12:21, 12:22, 12:23. No bus. I waited. 12:24, 12:25. The schedule said the bus ran every night. It said 12:23. It didn't say except when it doesn't feel like coming. I heard the breathing again. I did not turn around. The breathing got louder, closer. It was right behind me. I could feel cold air on the back of my neck. I closed my eyes. I told myself it was nothing. Then something touched my shoulder. Cold fingers. Long fingers. The same fingers I'd seen pressed against the glass. I ran. Again. I didn't look back. I didn't wait for the bus. I ran to the diner. I called a rideshare. I went home. The next morning, I checked the transit website. Route 17. Meridian and 8th. The stop was listed, but the schedule said the last bus was at 11:47 p.m., not 12:23. It had always been 11:47. I checked the photo I'd taken of the schedule months ago, the one I used to plan my route. In the photo, the schedule said 12:23. I zoomed in. The text was blurry, but I could see that the times had changed. Not the printed times. The times I remembered. The times I'd used for weeks. I went back to the stop that afternoon. The schedule behind the plexiglass said 11:47. I asked the cashier at the corner store. He said the last bus had been at 11:47 for as long as he could remember. I asked him about Elena, the woman who disappeared. He said he'd never heard that name. I asked him about the disappearances. He said there were no disappearances. He said I must have been thinking of a different stop. I went home, I searched online. Meridian and 8th bus stop, nothing. No news articles, no forum posts, no mentions at all. It was like the stop didn't exist. But it did. I had stood there. I had seen the face. I had felt the fingers. That was 6 days ago. I haven't gone back. I take a different route home now. I walk an extra mile to a different bus stop. One with lights, one with people, one with no scratched plexiglass. But last night, I woke up at 3 a.m. My bedroom was cold. Not the kind of cold from an open window. The kind of cold that comes from something being in the room with you. I looked at the window. The glass was fogged, and written in the fog in letters that were too neat, too perfect, were 3 words. I found you. I didn't sleep after that. I packed a bag. I'm staying at a motel across town. I don't know if she followed me. I don't know if she's out there right now, watching through the window, waiting for me to close my eyes. But I know one thing. The bus stop on Meridian and 8th isn't just an abandoned stop. It's a door, and something on the other side knows how to open it. I'm not taking the bus anymore. I'm not walking near that street. I'm not looking into dark glass after sunset, and neither should you. The bus that pulled up to the corner of Cherry and 6th was wrong before it even stopped. I knew it as soon as I saw the headlights. They were too yellow, too dim, like old candles behind dirty glass. The bus itself was an ancient model, white with a red stripe. The kind they stopped using in the 1980s. No digital display on the front, just a rusted metal sign that said Route 9 in faded letters. I almost didn't get on, but it was 11:15 p.m. The temperature was dropping fast, and the next bus wasn't scheduled for another 40 minutes. I was wearing a thin jacket. I'd been stupid. I got on. The doors hissed open, not the usual pneumatic whoosh, a long, slow hiss, like air leaking from a tire. The driver didn't look at me. He was wearing an old uniform, dark blue with a peaked cap, the kind you see in black and white photos from the 1950s. His face was in shadow. I dropped my coins in the fare box. They made a dull thud, not the usual clatter. I walked to the middle of the bus and sat down. The seats were cracked vinyl, dark green, patched with gray tape. The overhead lights flickered. The bus smelled like dust and copper. There was one other passenger, a woman in the back row. She was wearing a long coat, beige, with a fur collar that looked like it had been chewed by moths. Her hair was gray and pulled back tight. She was staring out the window. I sat 2 rows ahead of her, on the opposite side. The bus pulled away from the stop. I looked out the window. The street was empty. No cars, no pedestrians. The streetlights were dim, casting pools of orange that barely reached the pavement. Then I noticed something. The route was wrong. I took this bus every night for 3 weeks. It always turned left at the light toward the highway. This bus turned right toward the old industrial district. "Excuse me," I said to the driver. "This isn't the route to the station." He didn't respond, didn't turn his head, just kept driving. I stood up and walked toward the front. "Sir, this isn't Route 9. Route 9 goes to the transit center." The bus hit a pothole. The overhead lights flickered and went out. When they came back on, the driver's seat was empty. The steering wheel was turning by itself. The accelerator was pressed down by nothing. I turned to run to the back door. The woman in the beige coat was standing in the aisle, blocking my path. She was close now, close enough that I could see her face clearly. Her eyes were yellow, not jaundiced, yellow like a dog's. Her pupils were slits. "Where do you think you're going?" she said. Her voice was dry, rusty, like it hadn't been used in years. "Let me off," I said.
"You can't get off," she smiled. Her teeth were brown, rotting. "You're on the wrong bus, boy. You should have waited at the other stop." I pushed past her. I ran to the back emergency door and yanked the handle. The door didn't open. I yanked again. Nothing. The woman laughed. It was a horrible sound, like gravel in a blender. "Stupid boy," she said. "You're not on the bus. You're in the bus. There's a difference." I looked around. The seats were gone. The aisle was gone. I was standing in a metal box. No windows, no doors. Just smooth, rusting metal on all sides. I started to pound on the walls. I screamed for help. I screamed until my throat burned. And then I woke up. I was on the bench at the bus stop, Cherry and 6th. The street was normal. Cars drove past. A man walked his dog. The digital sign said 6:47 a.m., the first morning bus. I was freezing. My jacket was soaked with dew. My phone was dead. I had no memory of how I got there. I went home, I showered, I checked my phone. The battery was at 2%. I plugged it in and waited. When it turned on, I opened the transit app, Route 9. The schedule was normal. The 11:15 p.m. bus was listed. I scrolled down. The 11:15 p.m. bus. Every night. Pick up at Cherry and 6th. I wanted to delete the app. I wanted to forget everything, but I couldn't. That night I took a different route home. I walked 2 miles to a different bus stop. I waited in a well-lit shelter with other people. The bus came. It was normal. I got home safe. I did that for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Then last Tuesday I got stuck at work late. I had a choice. Walk 2 miles in the rain or take the bus from Cherry and 6th. I chose the bus. I was tired. I was stupid. I chose the bus. I got to the stop at 11:08 p.m. The shelter was empty. The rain was coming down hard, bouncing off the asphalt. I stood under the roof and watched the water run down the plexiglass. The bus arrived at 11:15. Same old bus. Same rusty sign. Same yellow headlights. I didn't get on. I stood at the curb and watched it. The doors hissed open. The driver, same cap, same shadowed face, sat motionless. The woman in the beige coat was in the back row again. She was staring at me through the window. Her yellow eyes were wide open. "Get on," she said. Her voice was inside my head, not coming from the bus. I shook my head. I stepped backward. "You'll get on eventually," she said. "They always do." The doors hissed closed. The bus pulled away. I watched it drive into the dark, its tail lights fading like dying embers. I walked home that night, 2 miles in the rain. I didn't care. I just wanted to be inside, in the light, away from that stop. But when I got to my apartment, something was wrong. The door was unlocked. I never leave it unlocked. I pushed it open. The lights were off. I reached for the switch. The woman was sitting in my living room, in my chair. Her coat was gone. She was wearing a hospital gown, pale blue, with stains on the front. Her hair was wet. "Nice apartment," she said. "A bit small, but it's clean. I like clean." I backed toward the door. "What do you want?" She stood up. Her bare feet made no sound on the carpet. She walked toward me, slowly, deliberately. "I want you to come back to the bus," she said. "You left something there." "I didn't leave anything." She smiled. Her teeth were normal now, white, even, perfect. "You left your name," she said. "You left your date. You left your stop. I need you to come back and claim them." I turned and ran. I ran out of the apartment. I ran down the stairs. I ran to the street. The bus was waiting. Cherry and 6th. The doors were open. The driver was staring at me. His face was visible now. It wasn't a face. It was just a void where a face should be. "Get on," the woman said. She was standing beside me. I hadn't heard her approach. I got on. I don't know why. I just did. I walked to the middle of the bus and sat down. The seats were the same cracked green vinyl, the same smell of dust and copper. The woman sat next to me. She was wearing the beige coat again. "Good boy," she said. "Now just wait. We'll be there soon." I looked out the window. The streets were the same empty streets, the same dim lights, but there was a difference. The buildings were older, decayed. The windows were broken. The doors were missing. "We're going to the hospital," the woman said. "The old one, Mercy Hospital. I used to work there." I didn't know why she was telling me this. I didn't want to know. The bus stopped in front of a massive building. It was clearly abandoned. The windows were boarded, the doors were chained, vines grew up the walls, but the doors opened. The driver turned his head, the void where his face should be, and pointed toward the building. "You'll find what you lost inside," he said. I don't remember getting off the bus. I don't remember walking into the building, but I remember the smell. Formaldehyde, rotting flowers, something sweet and sickly. I woke up on the floor of the lobby. The tiles were cracked. The ceiling was collapsing. I was alone. I looked at my hands. There was a bandage on my left wrist, a hospital bandage, the kind they use after drawing blood. Written on the bandage in faded ink were 3 words: patient unknown, 1982. I tore it off. I ran out of the building, down the street, back to Cherry and 6th. The bus stop was normal. The sun was rising. The digital sign said 6:47 a.m. I've never gone back to Cherry and 6th. I take the long way home every night, even when it rains, even when I'm tired. But last week I saw the bus again, not on Cherry and 6th, on my street, outside my apartment, at 11:15 p.m. The doors were open. The driver was waiting. The woman was in the back row, staring at me through the window. I pulled my curtains closed. I locked every lock. When I opened them again, the bus was gone, but there was a note on my doorstep, written in old-fashioned cursive on yellowed paper. It said, "You forgot your stop again. We'll come back for you." I don't know what they want from me. I don't know what I lost. But I know this. I'm running out of nights. And they're running out of patience. If you're reading this, don't take the bus from Cherry and 6th. Don't get on the white bus with the red stripe. And never ever look into the yellow eyes of the woman in the beige coat. She'll follow you home.